As the Boeing 737 taxied down the runway at JFK Airport, Hadrian Harlan gripped the armrests of his first-class seat, his mind racing faster than the engines. He had just closed a multimillion-dollar deal in New York, but the victory felt hollow. Another notch in a career that masked the emptiness of his personal life. A string of fleeting relationships that never bridged the chasm left by his conservative family's rejection years ago. Then, amid the pre-flight bustle, a heavily pregnant woman waddled down the aisle, her face etched with exhaustion. And when the flight attendant announced no more seats in economy, Hadrian made a split-second decision that would unravel his carefully constructed world. Sarah Wilkins collapsed into the plush leather beside him with a grateful sigh, her hands instinctively cradling her swollen belly. "You have no idea what this means," she murmured. Her southern drawl warmed despite the fatigue. Hadrian waved it off with a smile, though inside, a flicker of doubt stirred. Why had he done it? Generosity wasn't his default. Perhaps it was the way she reminded him of his sister, the one who had cut ties after he came out. As the plane ascended over the glittering Manhattan skyline, they fell into easy conversation. Sarah was a teacher from Atlanta, flying to Los Angeles for a family reunion. "This little one's not mine, technically," she confessed with a wry grin. "I'm surrogating for my brother and his husband. They couldn't have kids the traditional way, you know?" Hadrian's heart skipped a beat. Surrogacy for a gay couple, it hit close to home. He had always dreamed of fatherhood, but society's whispers and his own internalized fears had kept that door firmly shut. "That's incredible," he replied, his voice steady despite the turmoil. "Takes a lot of courage on all sides." Sarah nodded, her eyes lighting up as she described her brother, Mark, a dedicated architect, and his husband, David, a pediatrician. "They're the best dads this baby could ask for. But not everyone's thrilled. My parents. Well, let's just say family dinners are tense." The flight stretched on, turbulence mirroring the unease building in Hadrian's chest. He shared bits of his own story, growing up in a small Texas town where being gay meant exile, building a tech empire in Silicon Valley to prove his worth, yet feeling perpetually alone. Sarah listened intently, her empathy a balm he hadn't realized he needed. By the time they landed at LAX, an unlikely bond had formed. "Come meet them," she insisted as they deplaned. "Mark and David are picking me up. Least I can do is buy you a coffee for your kindness." In the arrivals hall, amid the chaos of reunions, Hadrian spotted them immediately. Mark, tall and broad-shouldered with a kind face, and David, slimmer with sharp features and a warm smile. But as Sarah introduced him, David's eyes widened in recognition. "Hadrian? Hadrian Harlan?" The world tilted. David was his college ex, the one who had broken his heart a decade ago, vanishing without explanation after Hadrian proposed they come out together. The air thickened with unspoken history, Sarah oblivious as she beamed. "Small world, huh?" That evening, over dinner at a quiet bistro in West Hollywood, the layers peeled back. David explained he had panicked back then, terrified of losing his family, and had married a woman briefly before accepting his truth. Now, with Mark, they were building the life Hadrian had once envisioned for them. "I never stopped thinking about you," David admitted softly, while Mark watched with quiet understanding. Hadrian's emotions churned. Resentment, nostalgia, a spark of something deeper. Why now? Was this fate's cruel joke? As weeks turned to months, Hadrian found himself drawn into their orbit. He visited Sarah during her final trimester, offering support that evolved into genuine friendship. But tensions simmered beneath the surface. Mark's conservative in-laws questioned the surrogacy, whispering about unnatural families, their barbs echoing Hadrian's own past wounds. One heated family gathering escalated when Mark's father accused them of playing God, forcing Hadrian to defend the very life he envied. "Love isn't defined by biology," he argued, his voice trembling with conviction he hadn't felt in years. Yet doubt crept in. Hadrian wondered if his growing affection for David was rekindled love or mere projection. Mark sensed it, leading to a private confrontation in their sunlit kitchen. "I see how you look at him," Mark said evenly, pain flickering in his eyes. But we're committed. This baby. It's our future. Hadrian recoiled, guilt gnawing at him. Had his act of kindness opened a Pandora's box of betrayal? The birth came suddenly, a stormy night in early spring. Sarah's labor was complicated, and as Hadrian paced the hospital waiting room with Mark and David, old rivalries surfaced. "You left me shattered," Hadrian hissed at David during a tense moment alone. "And now you're getting everything I wanted." David's response was raw. "I was scared, but I've changed. Have you?" When the baby boy arrived, healthy, with David's eyes and Mark's dimples, the room filled with joy. Holding the infant for the first time, Hadrian felt a profound shift. This tiny life, born of sacrifice and love, challenged his isolation. But as he handed the baby back, a decision loomed. Pursue the lingering spark with David, risking their family, or walk away? The euphoria of the birth faded into the grind of new parenthood, pulling Hadrian deeper into Mark and David's world against his better judgment. He started visiting their cozy bungalow in the Hollywood Hills more frequently, ostensibly to help with the baby, named Ethan after Sarah's grandfather, but really to steal moments with David. Their conversations lingered late into the night, reminiscing about college days while Mark slept upstairs, exhausted from midnight feedings. "Remember that road trip to the Grand Canyon?" David whispered one evening, his hand brushing Hadrian's. The touch sent electricity through him, awakening desires he thought buried. But guilt shadowed every interaction. Mark, perceptive and patient, began to withdraw, his smiles forced during group dinners. Society's undercurrents amplified the strain. News headlines blared about anti-LGBT legislation in several states, fueling Mark's anxiety about Ethan's future. "What if they take away our rights?" he confided to Hadrian one afternoon, rocking the baby. "Surrogacy's already under fire. People say kids need a mom and dad." Hadrian, drawing from his own battles, reassured him, "Families like yours prove them wrong every day." Yet, hypocrisy burned. How could he preach unity while coveting his friend's husband? A turning point came at Ethan's christening, a small gathering in a progressive church that welcomed all. Sarah's parents attended reluctantly, their disapproval palpable. During the reception, Mark's mother cornered Hadrian in the garden. "You're that tech mogul, right? Single, successful. Why meddle in their lives?" Her words dripped with insinuation, implying he was a threat to their unconventional setup. Stung, Hadrian defended fiercely, "Love doesn't conform to your norms." But inside, her accusation hit home. Was he meddling? That night, alone in his sterile apartment overlooking the Pacific, Hadrian confronted his reflection. His career thrived, but personal fulfillment eluded him. David's pull was magnetic, yet pursuing it meant destruction. He decided to distance himself, canceling plans and ignoring texts. David noticed immediately, showing up at Hadrian's office unannounced. "What's going on?" he demanded, eyes searching. In the glass-walled conference room, emotions erupted. "I can't do this," Hadrian confessed. "I still love you, but Mark, Ethan, it's not right." David's face crumpled. "I feel it too, but I chose Mark. We built this." The admission hung heavy, a mutual ache that neither could resolve. As David left, Hadrian felt the void widen, but a seed of resolve planted. Perhaps fatherhood wasn't out of reach for him alone. Months passed, marked by awkward encounters at mutual events. Sarah, now recovered and back in Atlanta, mediated via video calls, urging reconciliation. "Ethan needs all the uncles he can get," she teased, but her tone carried worry. Society's conflicts mirrored their personal ones. A local surrogacy ban proposal ignited protests, drawing Mark and David into activism. Hadrian joined anonymously, donating funds, his actions a quiet atonement. Then crisis struck. Ethan developed a rare fever, landing him in the NICU. Mark called Hadrian in panic, and he rushed to the hospital, finding David slumped in a chair, Mark pacing. "We need you," Mark admitted, vulnerability cracking his facade. As they waited through the long night, bonds reformed. Not romantically, but familial. Hadrian held Ethan's tiny hand through the incubator glass, whispering promises of protection. The scare passed, Ethan recovering swiftly, but it exposed fractures. Mark confronted David about the emotional affair, leading to tearful therapy sessions. Hadrian, invited to one, laid bare his loneliness. I gave up that seat thinking it was nothing. Now it's everything. The therapist probed deeper, uncovering how societal rejection had warped their self-worth, turning love into competition. Emerging stronger, they redefined their circle. Hadrian became Ethan's godfather, channeling his affection into uncle duties. But whispers of scandal rippled through their social network. Friends debated if Hadrian's involvement was healthy, sparking arguments about boundaries in queer families. One evening, as Hadrian bounced Ethan on his knee during a barbecue, David pulled him aside. "Thank you for staying," platonically. The word stung, but Hadrian nodded, peace settling. Yet, in quiet moments, he wondered if society's rigid views had forced them into roles that denied true desires. With Ethan's first birthday approaching, the trio Mark, David, and Hadrian navigated a fragile truce, but external pressures mounted, threatening to shatter it. A conservative media outlet ran a story on surrogacy in LGBT families, using anonymized examples that eerily mirrored theirs, igniting online backlash. Trolls flooded Mark's architecture firm's reviews with hate, calling their parenthood an abomination. David, as a pediatrician, faced patient complaints, parents questioning his fitness to treat children. Hadrian, leveraging his tech influence, countered with a viral op-ed in a major outlet, defending diverse families. "Kindness begets change," he wrote, subtly nodding to that fateful flight. The piece exploded, drawing support but also vitriol. His inbox filled with threats, echoing the homophobia that had driven him from Texas. "You're promoting perversion," one email read. Shaken, Hadrian confided in Sarah during a visit. "I thought we'd progressed," he said, voice cracking. She hugged him. "Progress is messy, but Ethan's worth it." The birthday party became a battleground. Held in their backyard, it drew a mix of allies and skeptics, including Mark's estranged relatives. Tension peaked when Mark's uncle, a vocal traditionalist, toasted sarcastically, "To modern families, may God forgive us." The room fell silent, eyes on Hadrian, the outsider. He rose, composure cracking. "Forgiveness? For love? That's what needs forgiving, your judgment." The outburst divided guests. Some applauded, others left in huff. In the aftermath, Mark and David argued fiercely. "You invited them knowing this," David accused. Mark retorted, "They're family. We can't hide." Hadrian, overhearing, felt responsible. "Maybe I should step back," he offered, heart heavy. But Ethan, toddling over, grabbed his leg, babbling, "Unca Hadrian." The moment dissolved defenses, reminding them of the stakes. Seeking solace, Hadrian explored adoption himself, attending seminars where stories of single gay dads inspired him. One speaker, a widower, shared, "Society says we can't, but we do." Empowered, Hadrian applied, facing bureaucratic hurdles laced with bias. A caseworker probed, "Stable relationship?" His single status raised flags, fueling his anger at systemic inequities. Meanwhile, David's lingering glances reignited old flames. During a quiet walk in Griffith Park, he confessed, "Mark and I, we're struggling. Therapy helps, but maybe we're not meant to be." Hadrian's pulse raced. "Don't say that for me." But the temptation loomed, a moral quandary. Pursue happiness or preserve the family? A scandal erupted when a leaked email from Hadrian's op-ed research revealed his past with David. Tabloids twisted it. Tech tycoon's affair tears apart gay family. Protests formed outside his office, both pro- and anti-LGBT factions clashing. Mark, devastated, confronted Hadrian. "Did you plan this?" Tears flowed as truths emerged. David's emotional infidelity, Hadrian's unwitting role. In a raw group session, vulnerabilities poured out. David admitted, "I love you both differently." Mark, hurt but resolute, Love isn't enough if it destroys us. Hadrian, torn. I never wanted this. They agreed to space, Hadrian relocating temporarily to New York for work. Distance clarified. Hadrian threw himself into advocacy, founding a nonprofit for LGBT parents facing discrimination. Ethan's photos on his desk fueled him. Calls with Sarah bridged the gap. They're lost without you, she said. A breakthrough came via a letter from Mark. Come back. For Ethan. Hadrian returned, finding them in counseling, committed to co-parenting if romance faltered. But David chose Mark, reaffirming vows in a private ceremony Hadrian attended as witness. Yet, society's echo lingered. At a pride event, Hadrian spoke. Our stories aren't tidy, but they're real. Applause thundered, but doubts whispered. Was authenticity worth the pain? As Ethan grew, Hadrian's role solidified, a chosen family triumphing over blood ties. But when a court case challenged surrogacy laws, their peace hung in balance, forcing them to testify. Hadrian's words rang. One seat changed everything. Don't let fear change it back. The surrogacy lawsuit escalated into a national debate, pulling Hadrian, Mark, and David into the spotlight and exposing raw fissures in their bond. Conservative groups argued that LGBT couples undermined traditional values, citing Ethan's case as Exhibit A. Liberal advocates rallied behind them, but the scrutiny unearthed personal skeletons. Reporters dug into Hadrian's past relationships, painting him as a homewrecker. Is this the role model for our youth? One pundit sneered on cable news. Mark, under fire at work, considered quitting. I built my career to provide for us, he told David, frustration boiling. David, defending patients daily, snapped, and I heal kids, but this fight's draining us. Hadrian, from his New York perch, funded their legal team anonymously, but guilt gnawed. Had his involvement amplified the chaos? A pivotal hearing in a Los Angeles courtroom brought them together. Sarah testified first, her voice steady. I chose this. Love drove me, not agenda. Then Mark, emotional. Ethan's our son. Biology be damned. David followed, detailing their journey. Hadrian, as a character witness, spoke last. One act of kindness led here. Deny us, and you deny humanity. The judge's ruling favored them, upholding surrogacy rights, but victory felt Pyrrhic. Celebrations were muted. The ordeal had strained Mark and David's marriage to breaking point. Late-night talks revealed cracks. David's unresolved feelings for Hadrian, Mark's resentment. We need time apart, Mark decided, moving to a guest room. Hadrian, back in L.A., became Ethan's anchor during the separation. Playdates turned therapeutic, the toddler's laughter a salve. But society judged harshly. Friends whispered about dysfunctional queer parenting. At a support group, Hadrian met others in similar binds, sharing stories of rejection and resilience. One man confided, I lost custody because of my orientation. Fight on. Temptation peaked when David sought comfort from Hadrian. Over wine in Hadrian's loft, confessions flowed. Mark's pulling away. You understand me. Their kiss was electric, a decade's pent-up passion. But Hadrian pulled back. This destroys everything. David left in tears, the moment a catalyst for change. Mark, learning of it, exploded in a confrontation at their home. You two deserve each other, he shouted, packing bags. Ethan wailed, amplifying the heartbreak. Sarah flew in, mediating. Think of him. Fix this. Hours of raw dialogue ensued. Admissions of fear, love, betrayal. Mark revealed his insecurity. I always felt second to your history. David, you're my choice now. Hadrian, I'll step away if needed. They chose therapy over divorce, rebuilding brick by brick. Hadrian focused on his adoption process, approved finally after appeals. His son, adopted from foster care, arrived, a 2-year-old named Luca, mirroring Ethan's energy. Years blurred. Playdates became family traditions. But societal backlash persisted. A school incident, Ethan bullied for having 2 dads, ignited Hadrian's advocacy anew. He lobbied lawmakers, his story inspiring bills for protections. At Ethan's 5th birthday, surrounded by loved ones, harmony reigned. Mark and David, stronger, thanked Hadrian, "Your family." Yet undercurrents lingered. Had their choices been selfish? Hadrian pondered as he watched the boys play. Life's twists, sparked by one seat, had forged unbreakable ties. But questions remained. Did society evolve, or just tolerate? Ethan's school years brought fresh conflicts, testing the fragile equilibrium Hadrian, Mark, and David had forged. At 8, Ethan came home with bruises, taunted as the kid with weirdo parents. Mark's fury led to a meeting with the principal, where subtle biases emerged. "We support diversity, but kids can be cruel." David, ever the healer, counseled Ethan gently, but the incident reopened old wounds. "This is what I feared," Mark admitted to Hadrian over coffee. "Our love costs him." Hadrian, now a devoted father to Luca, empathized deeply. His nonprofit thrived, funding anti-bullying programs, but personal tolls mounted. Luca faced similar whispers at daycare, prompting Hadrian to question single parenthood. "Am I enough?" he confided in Sarah during a visit. She reassured, "You're more than enough. Look at what you've built." Romantic undercurrents persisted subtly. David and Hadrian's friendship deepened through shared advocacy, occasional glances hinting at what-ifs. Mark noticed jealousy simmering. At a fundraiser gala, tension boiled over. A donor flirted with David, and Mark stormed out. Hadrian followed. "You're pushing him away," Mark retorted. "Like you didn't?" The argument escalated, dredging up the kiss years ago. "I forgave, but never forgot." Reconciliation came via Ethan's plea, "Don't fight. I love you all." The boys' wisdom humbled them, leading to renewed vows for Mark and David, Hadrian as best man. Society watched. Their story became a documentary, sparking debates on queer resilience. Praise flowed, but critics decried it as propaganda, fueling online harassment. A major crisis hit when Luca's biological mother resurfaced, challenging the adoption on grounds of Hadrian's lifestyle. Court battles ensued, media frenzy amplifying. Mark and David testified for him. "He's an exemplary father." The judge ruled in Hadrian's favor, but the ordeal exposed vulnerabilities. "Society still sees us as lesser," Hadrian lamented. Post-victory, they vacationed together in Hawaii, bonds strengthening amid ocean waves. Ethan and Luca bonded like brothers, their laughter a testament to chosen family. Yet, as adults reflected, doubts crept. Had their drama scarred the kids? Back home, Hadrian met someone new, a fellow advocate named Jordan, steady and kind. Their relationship blossomed, offering Hadrian the partnership he craved. Mark and David approved, toasts at dinners genuine. But life's ironies persisted. When Ethan, now a teen, questioned his origins, truths emerged carefully. "You were wanted so much," David explained. Ethan's response, "I'm proud of our family." Still, societal shifts, reversals in rights loomed, keeping them vigilant. At a family reunion, Sarah's parents, softened by time, apologized. "We were wrong." Healing rippled, but Hadrian wondered. Was forgiveness earned or forced? As years waned, Ethan pursued activism, inspired by his uncles. Hadrian's life, transformed by one selfless act, stood as proof of kindness's ripple. But in quiet moments, he pondered the cost. In the end, was it true that societal progress demands personal sacrifice, or can love conquer without loss?